Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Nick, so we're here at Edgbaston for the NCCA AGM and your members forum. It's your first of the year. It's not quite cricketing weather, is it?
No,
but good to be here. It's good to be with all the different counties.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we get this opportunity twice a year. It's a bit different to it than it was some years ago. The transition from MCCA to NCCA Limited, which came about really in 2020. Sadly for us, was at the start of the COVID year, so it was a bit of a setback to start off with. But and we've had to generally educate quite a lot of people about this. It's a different organisation now. Yeah. Whereas it was member-led really in the past. We had a general committee where every county had a representation on it. We had a management committee who carried those decisions through and got them done. To now we have a board of directors and 2 members' forums. Obviously, we take a lot of note of what the members' forums say, but we're not bound to agree with everything they come up with. And we've had a couple of instances where the clubs in general have come up with a thought on something or a proposal on something, and actually the board of directors has said, actually, that's not in our interest to do that. And that takes a bit of educating the people that it is a different way of operating. But overall, it's pretty successful, and what we're doing at the moment, obviously we've got ambitions to do other things above and beyond it, but at the moment, our main role is to run 3 successful competitions every year.
And you're running 3 successful competitions with 20 counties that, for want of a better way of putting it, far too many people don't understand what goes on there. And you use the word education. Do you feel that's sort of the number one goal of the NCCA when it comes to what you've got to do?
I don't know that it's the number one goal. I think it's an important goal. Obviously, the sense that it's an interesting spread of counties throughout England, because you've got a big band in the middle of the first-class counties. You've got a wedge in the north like Cumbria, Northumberland, Cheshire, the national counties, and in the southwest you've got a wedge of national counties as well. And by the nature of it, a lot of those counties are quite thinly and sparsely populated. And getting the message across is quite difficult, where they're perhaps not, if we had a national county that was based in London, I know that sounds preposterous, but if you did, or we had one in Birmingham, it would probably be easier to get the message across, because there's probably a bigger audience to address.
Most definitely, but you have got counties that, as you say, you spread from the Cumberlands in the north with not many people, the Cornwalls with even less people except for the holiday season, and then you've got Berkshire, and you've got some of the bigger counties in terms of demographics when it comes to the whole of the cricketing world, to be frank. How do we get that message out there to people to say, come and watch Berkshire, instead of, let's be honest, travelling an hour and a half on the train to the Oval?
Yeah, I think we've got to continue putting a good product on. Berkshire have been tremendously successful over a period of time. You would anticipate that by the natural order of things there'd be a bit of a a bump in the road at some time. It doesn't seem particularly apparent at the moment, but you'd think at some time. But I can only talk about my own county really in that sense, which again is one of the bigger ones, and we've got two main centres of population with Stoke-on-Trent and North Staffs and South Cheshire Premier League, and you've got part of the Birmingham League in Wolverhampton and the Black Country. And in Stoke-on-Trent, it's absolutely to the forefront. It gets great coverage in the press from Chris Travers in the Sentinel. But in the southern end of the county, we're too close to Birmingham in a sense, and Warwickshire and Worcestershire, which always take precedence. Yeah. And we're classic examples of kids, who perhaps live in Wolverhampton, who, given the choice of playing for Worcestershire or Staffordshire, will go to Worcestershire because they think it carries more kudos. Yeah. Actually, Staffordshire have probably been far more successful at Worcestershire at junior level over a period of time than Worcestershire have been, but it can be a little bit sort of soul destroying to not get the recognition. But I think there are other areas in the country where there are people like Chris Travers as well who do a good job, and we've just got to constantly keep that going. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's all about banging that drum constantly. We are the Premier League Cricket Podcast, and we're partnering with you guys to work on the NCCA stuff through the year, because let's be honest, all of our players in the Premier Leagues are playing in your NCCA game, and the quality, use Worcestershire example, we're absolutely certain that there's a number of counties in the NCCA could give some of these first class counties a right good game, if not more. Got to be careful how I say that, but it's a podcast, I can get away with it. But there's some real quality out there, and that's what people are missing if they're not going to watch these games, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. There's no doubt about it. There is a gulf between professional players and people who are very good players but only play 2-3 times a week. And I certainly wouldn't sit here and be quite as upbeat about it as you about us beating first class counties, but evidence has proved over the last 3 or 4 years in the showcase games that if the first class county isn't on their game on the day and the national county plays well, then anything can happen. And that's a bit like football in the FA Cup and what you're talking about, the pyramid really, and involving people in, isn't it?
Definitely, and I think the way the NCCA is evolving at the moment, you without a shadow, the message is getting out there a little bit more slowly but surely. What are you looking forward to this season in particular?
I would like to see 3 successful competitions again.
And Staffordshire to win one as well, probably.
Well, that was a bonus last year. I think of all the 3 competitions, that was the most unlikely, we'd have said at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, thanks, Niels Priestley.
Yeah, too right, yeah. But from a wider point of view, I think there's a bigger issue coming into play now. Obviously, we've got ambitions to run a representative team, if there's any way that we could get back in either the 50 over competition or the T20 competition and play an NCCA rep side, and that would be a possibility. But also, we've also got aspirations to be more involved in the women's game. Yeah. So I think I'm looking forward as much as anything to see how those 2 things progress.
Yeah, and I think those representative games that you've played in the past have been really successful. So the showcase games, they get decent crowds around the grounds, and it's a great opportunity for the likes of Derbyshire or Worcestershire or Warwickshire to go and play somewhere completely different, and for people to see what you guys are all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and what over the years now, there's been a build-up of relationship between certain national counties and first-class counties. In Somerset's case, in fact, with both Cornwall and Devon. Staffordshire have got a link with Warwickshire, having previously had one with Derbyshire. Yeah. Worcestershire have got links with Herefordshire and Shropshire. And there's 1 or 2 ones that you wouldn't consider to be natural partners, like Oxfordshire and Sussex, but it works well. Yeah. And Norfolk and Notts is another one that you wouldn't immediately think were paired together. But so those links, I think, are becoming stronger. And I think one of the issues that we're playing with at the moment is whether you get more benefit out of playing your partner year on year on year, or should it be varied? Yeah. Should you mix it up and play different counties each year? There are very mixed feelings amongst our counties about that. Some who would prefer to play their neighbouring county because they've got a relationship with them. It's perhaps an easier sell because they're more attractive opposition because they're local. Yeah. Whereas some counties, it'd be nice to play Durham one year, or it'd be nice to play Somerset another year. Yeah, why wouldn't Dorset get Yorkshire come down one year? Yeah. Because they can. Yeah. It'd be nice to do that. I think it goes back to a conversation we had off air almost, where that pyramid and those, the 20 counties that you've got in the 18 first class, if there was an FA Cup with them all in, they'd all get to play all over the country in the first place, the equivalent of, wouldn't they? And get to play left, right and centre. Yeah, they would, yeah. And I think, again, one of the things that's been thrown around as a possibility it could be just more than an NCCA rep team that plays in a FA Cup style competition. It could include perhaps the 6 best national counties from the previous season in that form of cricket, or actually if it became the FA Cup, they could all play in it, which would go back to the old days of the C&G and the NatWest competitions.
Yeah, when we invited the Dutch to come and play, I think the Irish played, the Scots had played on then. I'm old enough to remember some really good games then, and what were classed back then as minor counties gave some counties a good
they did,
nosebleed, I think.
Yeah, there were some near scrapes, but there were some significant wins over the years.
Definitely. Long term, you've been chairman for how many years now?
I'm in historically I was chair of MCCA for 3 years, and then it changed. So I've done 1 3-year term as chair of NCCA Limited. I've just completed my first year of a second 3-year term. I've got 2 years to go, and under the new ECB governance guidelines, that'll be it for me. So I've got 2 years to go, really.
What's your number one aim in that 2 years?
I would like to see us certainly get some kind of representation into one of the first class competitions, and for us to continue to be, a supplier of players into the first class game that have either missed out for some reason first time round, or in some cases come back into our game and risen again. And do that, because I think that is what we are there for, really, is to be part of that pathway to develop players. But we must never forget either that we're also a competition for the best Premier League players who perhaps want to go a little bit further.
Definitely.
Perhaps aren't quite good enough to go first class, and some who are certainly good enough to play first class, but actually prefer to go down a different route and get careers. Yeah,
have a career and play cricket. Yeah. I think that's a brilliant place to end. That's a phenomenal way to look forward to the next couple of years, and look forward to working with you in that time.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers now. Right, so here at Edgbaston with Matt Dando-Thompson of Cricket Wales. Nice to see you, Matt. How's it going at the NCCA AGM Forum?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for us as all 20 national counties just to get together, run through the regs, go through some of the bits that players might not see kind of behind the scenes, if you like. But yeah, good opportunity to connect with everybody, check in with everyone. It's just kind of dotting I's and crossing T's at this stage, and the season will be on us.
Tell me about it. We're 7 weeks away from the season?
It's not far, is it?
You guys aren't far off away from going out to Spain for a little bit of training as well?
Yeah, first time we've done that. So yeah, we go off in a couple of weeks, taking 21 of our lads to Spain. So yeah, that'll be a really good opportunity just to get equipped for the season. Obviously, I don't think anybody played a huge amount this time last year or heading into April. So I think we can say with good amount of certainty that we'll get some good practice time. Good chance for boys just to get together and have a mix. And yeah, for some of those lads maybe aren't going to feature this year, but it's a good chance for them to kind of see what the level's like and get themselves ready for the season.
What sort of group are you taking out? Are you taking a mix of sort of red ball, white ball players?
Yeah, a mixture of both. Got a lot of lads overseas at the moment anyway, so some of those guys won't actually make the trip. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've got probably a core 10 to 12, I would say. We're kind of in our more regular group. Yeah. About a couple of new guys who've come onto the scene this year, which is great. So a good chance to integrate them. And as I say, some lads who have kind of not long come out of under 18s and 19s county age group cricket. So it's a really good chance for them to kind of get accustomed to the lads and the standard. And hopefully that transition's not too difficult. Then,
so it'll be quite a young group that you've got going out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're actually going to play ourselves internally quite a lot. We're going to play a few invitational teams and that type of thing, but we actually think it's going to be good just to kind of get in amongst it, practice hard, top up that fitness and do some good stuff in amongst ourselves.
Any Welsh club teams going out there? I think there was a couple last year, wasn't there?
There's always a couple, yeah. I mean, Brad, our head coach, Brad Wadland, obviously he's taking, I think some of them are staying for Swansea's tour, which is directly after. I'm not sure who else, but I think there's probably a couple that utilise it for some good pre-season prep. So
look at the weather here at Edgbaston today. I mean, it's a no-brainer to go to Spain for a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. It should be really good. Hopefully we can see how that translates into the early part of the season.
And you've had a slight change at the top there, as you say, with Brad being the head coach now. What have you seen change so far with Wales National County since Brad's taken over?
Yeah, not a lot and lots at the same time, I would say, which sounds odd. Obviously Darren Thomas been involved for a long time and has contributed so much to the team and the structure and a lot of the players that have then transitioned on into Glamorgan specifically. So I think that culture of wanting to keep going in that direction is still very much there, and that's largely thanks to Darren. you know, Brad's come in with a fresh energy, obviously has the playing perspective on it as well, and will contribute on the field. So, yeah, it's a slightly different approach. Nothing kind of groundbreaking, but yeah, look, boys have engaged with it. Boys have been raring to go, and yeah, I think you know the vibe is good, and hopefully, as I say, that gets translated on into performances and a good season.
And what's a good season for you guys this year then?
Yeah, look, we'd like to compete and probably do a bit more than that, to be honest. You know, we're aware we're one of the few counties that probably doesn't register on any of the kind of winners' names, so to speak, in any of the competitions previously. So look, that's something we want to start to get closer to. Wouldn't want to kind of set a target too closely to kind of go, look, we want to win that. But I think we'll be very competitive across all three formats. And then again, part of it is, you know, what opportunities can we provide to players to transition into the game higher up. So I think if we can do that, we can showcase some opportunities for players to kick on and do well as a team. I think that'd be a pretty decent season.
And you've got your showcase game coming up as well?
We do, yeah. We've got Worcestershire this year, which will be lovely. We didn't have a ball against Warwickshire last year with the rain, so we'll have to hopefully come back to that one. But yeah, Worcester will be a great challenge for us. You know, I don't know a huge amount about a lot of their guys, so yeah, it'd be really good for our boys to see what they got.
I think they'll know even less about you guys though. Yeah, first class counties don't always treat these games as competitive as they possibly can be.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think they will, and I think, to be fair, over the last couple of years, there's been a few scares around the national counties, which is really good. So, look, it's good prep for all of these teams, I think, as they head into Metrobank. So, yeah, look, if we can give some good practice and good preparation for those guys whilst giving them a run for their money, that's a win-win for everyone.
Definitely. For anyone who's listening to the pod and listening from your group in particular, any players that stand out to look out for during the season, any batters or bowlers in particular that somebody might not have heard of, you can go, keep an eye on this one?
Yeah, they'll all probably have me if I don't mention them now. Milo Ayres made his debut last year in the last 3-day game at Dorset and has found his way into the NCCA Rep Winter Training Squad. So he's probably one just to keep an eye on and see how he goes in white ball cricket for us specifically. Look, Harry Friend had a great year and has kicked on and will still be aspiring to try and achieve a contract somewhere, hopefully with Glamorgan. Batter made his maiden 100 last year in the championship, so keep an eye on him. And look, we've got tons, I would say, and I think the challenge for us is to try and provide all those opportunities for those young lads. And look, every season someone pops their hand up that you know maybe surprises you that you weren't expecting. So you know there's probably a couple more there that will spring up. And
when you look down the pathway, can you see really good stuff coming through as well?
Yeah, look, and as going back to what's a good season, that's always a big part of it as well, is to, you know, what lads can you bring forward every season that can get exposed to this standard. So there's a couple of lads who, even in and around the Glamorgan stuff, have got some rookie contracts but haven't actually played a huge amount at this level, who have come through our pathway. So the likes of Henry Hurl, expect to see him feature quite a lot early season. We'd like to get a Tom Norton involved, who's one of the brighter prospects on the Glamorgan Academy at the moment. So yeah, look, it's again finding that balance between needing to get a regular side out, for balance of the side, and also trying to provide some of those opportunities. So yeah.
Definitely. Coming back towards the NCCA, as Wales National County, one of 20 counties that participate there, for those who've not really watched this game or not really taken much notice because they've been too busy looking at the first class game, what would you say the attraction is in particular?
Where to start? I think well, first and foremost, is a really good standard of cricket.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're not, even if you follow a Warwickshire or a Wiltshire or Gloucestershire or whoever your first class county might be, for example, you can still identify, I think, with your local national county. So it might be Somerset, for example, that you follow. You can still follow a Devon or a Cornwall or you know, a Wiltshire, depending on where you're situated. So it gives you a little bit more of a closer viewpoint into maybe the top standard of recreational cricket that you might not see. And actually maybe you get to see some of those players that end up being professional cricketers, even international cricketers. You get to see them in the very early stages of their career, you know, as they're forging their way forward. You might get players that have been there and done that who then drop back down into that standard as well. So a real eclectic mix, I would say, and you probably have more of a mix in this environment than you might do in professional cricket. Yeah,
most definitely. I totally agree with that. That youth in particular coming through, you're going to see players who play Premier League cricket on Saturday, come play for you guys on Wales National County on a Sunday.
And then Samet Patel's there on a Sunday playing as well. So
Absolutely. And we were talking to Noah Kelly from Driffield in Yorkshire. We challenged him and said, there's nothing to stop these guys going all the way through. We use Rayan Ahmed as the example of playing Premier League cricket last year and getting a central contract in the same year. There's nothing to stop any of your lads doing the same as that.
No, and you could look across pretty much all 20 of those national counties and you could pinpoint over the last 10 years at least 5 or 6 players that have used national counties as that springboard and platform to to go on to bigger and better things. So look, I think that will always be one of the NCCA's key objectives. It's probably not the only one. We want to be probably a force in our own right as a collective, but that is ultimately the role it plays in the kind of the wider national player pathways. We want to be transitioning players to go into professional cricket.
Brilliant. Great to see you today, Matt.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Achieve clean, healthy-looking skin with Youth to the People. The 20-time award-winning superfood cleanser gently deep cleanses and removes makeup and SPF in 30 seconds. For skin that's hydrated, balanced, and soothed, never stripped. It's the green juice cleanse for your face, formulated with good-for-you antioxidants like kale, spinach, and multivitamins to respect your barrier. No disruption. Find out why one cleanser is sold every minute in the U.S. Shop now at Sephora.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, so we're here at Edgbaston at the NCCA AGM and Forum Day, and we've got Tom Morton with us now, who is Head of Talent Pathways at Wiltshire. How are you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good, thanks, Ian. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, good. It's been great to talk to one or two people from the NCCA today, and for those who don't know, you played at Wiltshire for quite a while yourself.
Yeah, I played since 2006 and stopped last year, so yeah, fair stint there.
That's it now, is it? Properly stopped?
I think so. I've tried that a few times and it's not worked, but yeah, I'm giving it a good go at stopping.
Going to play any club cricket?
Yeah, I still play regularly on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's not going to stop then?
No, that's still there.
So Wiltshire in the NCCA. Tell me what's special about Wiltshire in the NCCA for our listeners.
Yeah, I think we're a fairly competitive county, as they all are. I think that one of the strengths of competition is you turn up each week and, there's always a good tight game and it's a fairly level opposition. So we compete. I think maybe one of the things that we're doing slightly differently at the moment to other counties is we've put a bit more time into live streaming and adding sort of ball tracking and live commentary to games. So that's been a kind of real feature or one of the focus areas for us over the last year or so. And it's worked quite nicely. So that's one of the things we're doing. We've probably followed a bit of a trend in that our county club and our pathway have merged, so that's really helped us in terms of transitioning players from the pathway into the senior team and linking the two, sharing resources, etc. But I think you'll find quite a few counties have already done that now. If not, they're kind of working towards that. So
definitely,
that's been a real success for us of the last few years, and generally we're moving in the right direction.
What drove that streaming? Who's doing it? Is it Wiltshire doing it themselves?
So cricket in general I think is a little bit behind some other sports in terms of streaming. I know like amateur rugby was getting streamed many years ago when I was playing, and cricket's kind of catching up in that space. So for us it started with the investment of a system 3 to 4 years ago, and it's kind of grown from there really, whereby we now have an analyst who will manage a lot of that process. But then we also have sports journalism students, media students from Southampton Solent University who did their placement work with us last year at our home white ball games, where they brought a ball tracking camera and they brought commentators as well. So it really kind of added to that coverage of the match, and it provided us with some really good content. We got some angles that we wouldn't usually get, and the students did a really good job.
Is that something that as an NCCA group you've been talking about doing more of?
It's definitely something that the NCCA want to progress and grow. We were just talking about it then in terms of Richard Logan's vision for 5 years' time and what streaming could look like. So I think there are some grand plans for live streaming games, and it can only be a good thing really, because increasing awareness of the competition, it's increasing the awareness of when the players do well and what potential opportunities that might provide them with, and overall it's just some good cricket being played, and I want people to see that.
Absolutely. And as a player and a coach, it's imperative that you can get as much information as possible, as we know, and streaming helps you with that, doesn't it, as well? Yeah,
definitely. It's the way it's going, isn't it? If you look at our YouTube page from last year, we would have on average around 1,000 viewers or clicks per day. We wouldn't have 1,000 people watching it at the game live. So it's definitely increasing the awareness of our first team.
Yeah, it'd be great to see that develop in the NCCA over the coming years. I think, as you say, cricket's been a little bit behind on that. COVID brought it forward very fast when it came to the first-class counties. You guys are the next level. You're the championship equivalent, though, aren't you, when it comes to that? Yeah, I think when it comes to getting out there with the white ball game in particular, that streaming could be massive early doors with the T20 games, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's what we focused ours on last year, the T20s and the 50-over competition. We had a good run in the 50-over competition. We got through to the semi-final, so that got quite a few people watched that online. But yeah, the T20s is a good standard. If you look at across the counties, there's quite a few players playing in that now that are playing in the Blast.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet Jake Lintott after this. He plays here at Warwickshire, and he plays for us in the T20 competition. He has done for the best part of a decade, and he's a player with a bit of a profile there. So and he's playing in all our T20 games, and he's not the only one. There's others out there who are who have got some really good players in that format. So it's good to watch.
And I think as cricket's developed over the last 5 to 10 years, and more of these solo format players come through, using you guys as their training, some of them, aren't they, to do the NCCA T20 before they go into the Blast straight afterwards?
Yeah, I think it prepares them quite well. It's the next level from that. So yeah, it's probably good preparation for them, and it's good for the others as well. We're not just here for those guys. Yeah. It's good for the lads that are going to test themselves against them. Exactly, and the young guys can learn off them, and they can play against them, challenge themselves against better cricketers. So yeah, it can only be a good thing, really.
Definitely. Tell us briefly about the talent pathway down at Wiltshire. What's that looking like at the moment?
Yeah, it's strong. So we run from under 10s all the way through to the first 11, and it's been successful. We're linked with Gloucestershire, so we have players that join their academy. They're south of the county. They tend to go more towards Hampshire. Yeah. And yeah, our pathway's been doing really well. We've just come back off of a tour to Sri Lanka where we took 3 teams, an under 15s and 16s boys side and then a girls side. Okay. So it was 88 of us that were in Sri Lanka last week, which was it was a big tour, big operation, kind of organising that. And yeah, it's been moving well. As I kind of suggested before, it's grown since we partnered or linked up with the first 11, because that kind of shared resources has made us achieve more, and it's been a real positive move for us.
Definitely. I think just that number, 88 people from Wiltshire cricket out in Sri Lanka all in one go, that'll shock a lot of our listeners, that a so-called inverted commas smaller county are taking that many out there. I'm sure you could have taken far more if the resource and the availability was there. Yeah,
the demand was there for more to go. We don't usually take that many, but we do go on an annual tour to Sri Lanka, which a lot of counties do now actually, but it was a particularly big one, this tour, and it was really successful, and all the boys and girls had a great time. I think the parents did too, so it was well worth doing.
What do the players who go out there get from that tour in particular?
Well, in total I think we played 18 games.
Wow.
And then within that, each team plays at a test ground and 2 first-class grounds.
Wow.
So they're playing at some really good venues. So playing against Sri Lankan cricketers provides a completely different type of challenge on completely different types of wickets in completely different conditions.
It's not like Wiltshire.
Not at all. So there was a test there for them, which was really good. That kind of condensed period to spend with them was really good from a coaching point of view as well, just because you get to know the players a bit better, and there's some of the things they need to work on, or the things in their game which they're doing really well. So yeah, there were so many benefits. It's also the kind of cultural side that they experience over there, and it's just a really good learning exercise for them.
And it's old school being on tour with a cricket club, effectively, isn't it? We've done it for many, many years and done it successfully. Just give us a flavour from the top end of your group. Is there any players that we should keep an eye out for this year? You're breaking through into the first team, or some names that we should watch out for?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a few, like I mentioned, we've got a few lads that are on the Gloucestershire Academy and the Hampshire. So Sam Ashman plays at Hampshire. He's under 17. Then we've got Alfie Johnson, Johnny Sadler and Reece Baker at Gloucestershire. So those are the sort of upper end of our pathway, sort of 17, 18 that are on the fringe of the first team there. And then we've got a few others that have already played first team cricket. They're 18, 19 as well.
Names to look out for during the summer. You'll be playing a bit of cricket yourself again during the summer, but you'll get to watch a lot more, I'm sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Great to see you, Tom. Thanks for chatting today.
Thanks for having me. Cheers guys.
Got Matt Barnes with us, Performance Director from Oxfordshire Cricket. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How are you guys? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. It's a bit of a rainy day to talk about performance and cricket, and it's sort of day here that we look outside and think we've got to get indoors. Do you want to tell our listeners, what does a performance director do at Oxfordshire?
Well, it's a great question, and I'll try my best to simplify. I suppose my remit is to cover all of the performance programs. I guess the clue's in the name there, and that would take a broad range of programs from our adult teams, so our men and our women, our emerging player programs, and then our pathway and some of the supplementary programs that run alongside that. For us, that's our state school programs, our Bulls and Falcons, our player development workshops, which we run in time periods to give opportunities to players. So I guess that's the nuts and bolts of the day to day, but my responsibilities are broader in terms of sitting on the board, line management responsibilities, recruitment, managing some of our partners, etc. So it's a busy role. There's quite a lot to do.
Just a wee bit. So in that performance pathway within Oxfordshire, just to give an idea, how many players have you got in that pathway?
So we ran a pathway from, I guess, 10s to 18s, generally speaking. And this year we've had over 1,000 players nominated. That's both girls and boys together rather than singular. Not all of those choose to partake. The nominations or recommendations come from players themselves. We've done that to remove barriers this year for accessibility, but also from clubs, from coaches, from schools. We've got lots of schools in our county. So we're lucky. We've got lots of players in our talent pool.
What is that talent pool looking like now compared to, I hate to use that phrase, back in the day? You've been doing this for a while now. Is it growing and getting better?
Well, I guess it depends on what you measure the success of a talent pathway on. If you're talking about outputs into the club game, the schools, the recreational game for clubs, for universities, and into our adult teams, then we've been successful, and that's a responsibility we have. If you're looking at those outputs into professional cricket, academies, England Lions, England, etc., we've also been really successful there, and in some ways that creates a little bit of pressure where we've produced lots of players in recent times. Last year there was a game between Sussex and Gloucestershire that had a really high number of players that have come through our system, which is brilliant, but trying to sustain that is the challenge.
Who would be the biggest name that listeners might know that's come through the system?
So Jack Brooks would be one who's recently
who's
retired.
come back to Oxfordshire now as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, so Jack's back and living in the county.
Coaching at Banbury?
Yes, he is. And then I guess those that are currently playing now, the likes of James Coles and Ollie Price, who are at Sussex and Gloucestershire respectively, both gone on the England Lions tour, but multiple tours. Beyond that, you've got Harrison Ward, Zach Leon Cachet signed for Sussex this year, the Charlesworth brothers, the Taylor brothers, Miles Hammond, and also Ollie's brother Tom as well. I can't forget one of those. Absolutely. But if I've missed anybody, I apologise. But there's lots that have come through, and
it just shows that out there, unfortunately, not too many people understand what NCCA cricket's all about. But behind NCCA cricket is these pathways at counties like Oxfordshire, which are producing players that are going to play all over the country. How important do you think that is for the development of the game in general, in terms of not just around the first class, it's got to be through the 20 NCCA counties?
I think it's just a mechanism for players to fulfil their potential. Some will take a very linear, I guess, trajectory through a pathway onto an academy to get a rookie deal into professional game and beyond. Others will take a slightly, I guess, more non-linear route where they might not be on an emerging players programme, they may not have got into an academy. They then play representative cricket for the national county, so for us it would be Oxfordshire. That provides a vehicle to compete against their peers across the game, which may include some people who've transitioned out of first class cricket or who are close to playing, or equally are currently playing and then come back and play. So it serves a really important purpose, because players can use that as a launch pad to go into professional cricket, but also if that ends up being the ceiling that people reach, then that's also just a really good environment, quality cricket where people can play at a level, and it's still a strong standard.
It's a phenomenal level. You know, we talk Premier League cricket week in, week out, and obviously NCCA is above that. It's almost the representation of the best of Premier League cricket. You know, you guys are part of the home counties little network of counties down there. It's a very strong league that breeds lots of good players.
Yeah, and I think it's about players feeling like they're striving. Like, it's important that people can strive, play, and they want to play we'd hope for Oxfordshire and for other like-minded counties as well. And those people that play the club game every weekend and really look forward to their summers playing cricket, if their ambition is to progress into rep cricket and further, then that's the place to push towards.
I think the message there is you don't have to necessarily go through the 18 first-class counties in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. You see someone like Jack Brooks is a really good example of that, who played for Oxfordshire and made a path through to Northants. You would know the details, but I'd say in his sort of early 20s and has forged a really successful first-class career. and it's a slightly different route than is traditional, but that's actually absolutely okay, and that is normal. So if I was reinforcing a message to people, there's more than one way to reach that pinnacle, if that's the what, if that is what you want to get from cricket.
Yeah, and come watch NCCA cricket, because you just don't know who you're going to see. You could see that young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old who could be the next England captain for all we know, but it also could be somebody dropping down from the first class counties at age 26, 27, not got a full-time contract now, and still going to get to play with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's reflective of the people that have been playing in recent years, and you're going to get those who are close to playing, have played first class cricket, young people that may end up being, as you rightly say, international players. So it's quite a diverse group of people, I suppose, in some ways, which is exciting. So it's
and the quality of the cricket at NCCA level, it's phenomenal. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and I think it's also changing somewhat now with the way the professional game's moving, the windows in which some of those competitions take place.
Yes.
Certainly in the T20s last year, you saw a number of contracted players that were coming back, playing in that, using that as their own vehicle into the T20 blast. Yeah. So if anything, NCCA cricket is certainly strengthening in the white ball space. Red ball still has some challenges with multi-days, some of it falling in work time, just the time of year. But then that brings about opportunities for maybe some of those younger players, some of the players in first class cricket that aren't in the 100 that can come back and play. Yeah. There's some synergy that's sort of forming now. Of course, it's not solely about that, but it is one benefit at the moment.
And if you're not living near a first class county, which, let's be honest, 20 counties aren't, because there's only 18 first class, there's plenty of cricket going around the counties, and you guys come to some of the best club grounds around the counties as well, don't you?
Yeah, and that's again one of the real benefits of it. You're getting to watch some good cricket, but with that real local connection. Yeah. Particularly if it's your club that are hosting a game, there's a real connection to it. But also if you're close by, you're seeing not cricket in its purest form, because it's not that, but it is in a local club with volunteers that are doing the best they absolutely can for their club, and they're hosting one of these representative matches.
Absolutely. I think from what we learned from the NCCA year in, year out, clubs are so proud to put these games on, spend so much time and effort. It's all volunteers to make sure that these games are a real good quality for you to come along and watch.
Yeah, I think most counties, I'm sure, if you speak to others today, would be sort of indebted to the work that the clubs who are hosting venues, and I'm sure there's more than just clubs do, to host those matches. It's a really important role that they play.
Definitely. I think the role that you play as a performance director, Matt, is sensational. What you guys are doing throughout the system is phenomenal for what is required for the game. I'm a big believer that cricket doesn't start at first class counties. It starts at school and at clubs all around the country, and it's going to come through you guys at some point, isn't it? So thank you for all the work that you guys do through the counties and the NCCA, and look forward to catching up with you again.
No, it's brilliant. Great to chat to you, and all the best.
Cheers now. Great, so we're here at Edgbaston, and got with me now Paul Bedford, who is your title now, Paul, is?
Leagues and National Counties Manager.
Changed a little bit over the last couple of years, your title, but you're effectively here to represent the ECB with the NCCA. So what's your liaison with them? What do you have to do with them on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, work with them, support them where I can to ensure that all counties get a fair opportunity to execute their programme and do it in line with the contract that the ECB have with the National Counties Cricket Association, but also with each individual member county. So they're investable from a governing body's perspective. Do they run their cricket business for the National County Club and all the players coming through their pathway in a way that we would expect modern cricket organisations to operate?
Most definitely. And you're here today at the AGM Forum. It's a great chance for you to meet with the members, and you don't get to sit down with them face to face very often, do you?
No, twice a year, and anyone I see around the circuit during the summer. Eclectic mix, from Cumbria and Northumberland down to Devon and Cornwall. Yeah. All got different views. Some have got travel and player challenges. Some of their players play in local Premier Leagues. Some of their players play in other Premier Leagues and have to travel across. All great people. 30% of cricket is played in a national county. So whilst we've got 18 first-class counties, we've got 20 national counties in the competition and 2 others who have a county board, so Huntingdonshire and the Isle of Wight. But 20 national counties producing 30% of the participants, and 23% of the international tickets that are sold go to people residing in national counties. There's a real enthusiasm and love for cricket at this level, national counties level, but also at international level following England as well.
Absolutely, and that's a perfect sort of link to what we're doing with the Premier League Cricket Show, where we're bringing that massive amount of Premier League cricket. There's 32 ECB Premier Leagues this year now, with Dorset becoming ECB Premier League. 350 plus clubs around the country, and they supply all these players to the NCCA.
They do. And those clubs, are in many cases, the beacons of cricket in their area, and other clubs are doing similar things. They might not be able to fulfil all of the criteria or all the requirements or have the playing standard, but they're doing good things, enthusing young people to play cricket because there are 3 junior teams, a requirement to be a Premier League, top 2 divisions of the Premier League clubs, and that's ensuring that there's a great opportunity for children to join clubs early, stay in the pathway, transition from softball to hardball, and some, if they choose to work at it, can play in the first team and enjoy everything from, playing in their own league and having some local derbies to playing in the T20 Cup or the National Club Championship.
Absolutely, and obviously, clearly, when it comes to the Premier League clubs, the links to the NCCA, it couldn't be closer. I'm going to guess 99% of players who play NCCA are playing club cricket on a Saturday. We know there are 1 or 2 of the first-class players who drop down to come and play, especially the T20 with the way the calendar works now. How important is it for you to see that link continue very closely between Premier League and NCCA?
It's really important, partly due to requiring talent to confirm itself in different environments. So some might have been on the county talent pathway,
but the vast majority come through clubs.
They certainly get tested through clubs, even when they're in their county age group teams. Outside of that, they need to make some transitions. They do it often at Premier League club level first of all, because they might play in the second 11 at 15 or 14, and then they move into the first 11. And only then, when they've often proven themselves then or prove they've got high potential, if they live in a national county or they go to school in a national county, then they can go and play for them. Possibly through their development sides first, but if not in the first team. And it's a really good grounding. The fact that more recently, they've been playing T20 cricket as well as championship and trophy.
Definitely.
They're getting a rich opportunity to be the best they can be outside of their comfortable environment of their own club.
Yeah, and
that's a challenge in itself,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, getting them out of that. As you say, a lot of kids might start at 6, 7 years old, and they're playing that club. They just know everyone about it. Yeah. To go to play for Oxfordshire, Wiltshire, Norfolk, whoever it is, it's a different ball game altogether, because you're talking as close to first class as you're going to get, really, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the pinnacle of the recreational game. It's where, the pyramid narrows if you've not got a contract or you're on the cusp of having a contract. National Counties Cricket's a great place to go and showcase your talent. Maybe they go to university and they're fortunate at one of the UCCEs to get some opportunity against first-class opposition in March, but that's a bit hairy when you're playing Chris Rushworth up at Durham on the 26th of March.
He's
at Warwick, and he's at Warwickshire now, but the same rules apply.
Yeah, definitely.
You get the opportunity early, but then you need to have the opportunity to play in the summer. White ball, red ball.
And looking further forward into the summer, that you mentioned the word showcase, we then come to these brilliant showcase games between the NCCA teams and the first-class counties. That's imperative for the whole game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. One of the challenges is to make it work for the schedule, and we're talking at the moment about whether we should mandate it on a particular day or whether give everyone the flexibility to arrange it with their
within a parameter.
Yeah, with their local first-class county or a first-class county that's keen to play them and make it work for everyone. Doesn't have to be 50 over, could be T20, could be double-header T20, whatever inspires the people in that national county to come along, get behind their team outside of the NCCA competitions.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the summer. You'll get to see a lot of cricket, I'm sure, around the country. If you were to tell listeners where to go and see some cricket that they might not have watched. We're here at Edgbaston today. Everyone knows about Edgbaston. We all know about Headingley. Tell me about an NCCA ground that you'd say, go watch cricket there if you get a chance.
Well, there's a good question, because I mean, the fact that there are so many across the country makes my life a bit tricky anyway. But picking on the showcase game, or going back to the showcase game, fantastic day at Suffolk, and they use more than the one ground that they use there. They had a really good crowd there. So, going out and about in the east of England, in Suffolk, or going to March in Cambridgeshire is one opportunity. Lindham put on a really good show last year in Lincolnshire. then the opportunities to go to Bobby Tracy, to Exmouth down in Devon. Really, there's opportunities in every county that, you know, makes my life a little bit tricky to
get around.
To get around. Wimborne, they've improved recently. Dorset.
But with your league head on, that puts 2 and 2 together, doesn't it? Because all of these clubs who put these showcase games on, at the end of the day, these are clubs that generally are run by volunteers and go right down the leagues. It fills my heart, I know it must fill your heart to see what a good job they do.
They do a fantastic job, and the challenge is taking on a national counties game, and certainly a showcase game, is another big challenge. And there's only so much we can ask the volunteers to do, or they can ask of themselves. And we're really grateful for all the great work they do. Pretty much within 20, 50 miles of anyone's house in a national county that's sparsely populated, there's still some really good cricket on with some great people supporting it, and we're grateful for that.
That's a great place to end, because we love our volunteers and our cricket clubs. Paul, thanks for your time today, and look forward to catching up with you during the year.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.